All right. All right, deputies, we're good to go.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Marcus Thorpe. It is 11 a.m. this morning here on October 26th of 2024, and today is your first appearance. Ladies and gentlemen, as we move through here this morning, not only during my announcements, but also as I speak to you all individually, if you're having trouble hearing me, please let me know, as there are going to be a few things that I'm going to go over with you, not only before we start the calendar, but during it as well. First and foremost, and most important, let me uh, tell each and every one of you all, I'm not here to try your case. I'm not here to take a plea or have any legal discussions with you about the specific facts of your case. Please be mindful of that, ladies and gentlemen, because anything you say is being recorded, and there are obviously deputies and other inmates around you whom may become witnesses to anything you say specific about your case. The purpose of today's hearing is to inform you of the charges against you, to advise you of certain rights, to set bond on those offenses for which the court is authorized to set bond, to schedule a preliminary hearing, to determine where you require the assistance of an attorney. Ladies and gentlemen, each of you have a right to remain silent. So again, please do not tell me the specifics about your case or any legal defenses, because as I said, this is being recorded live. Now, in addition to your right to remain silent, you have the right to a presumption of innocence, the right to an indictment by grand jury for felonies or by misdemeanors, or by accusation for some misdemeanors. You have the right to a speedy and public trial by jury. You have the right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf. You have the right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you. You have the right to testify on your own behalf or to offer evidence in your own defense. You have the right to have an attorney to represent you as well. And if you cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed for you if you qualify. Now, for those of you all who are not citizens, there are some charges that can adversely affect your immigration status. And so if that is the case, or you're concerned about that being the case, you will need to speak with an immigration attorney. Now, among the things that I'm going to speak with you about, not only what you're charged with, but about bond. Of course, bond being what you're allowed to pay in order to get out while your case is still pending. Some of you all will be allowed to post bond here this morning, pending your case. These bonds may be posted in one of three ways. You can either do it in cash, commercial, or property. If you post a cash bond, someone will deliver the full amount in cash together with any fees to the sheriff's office, who will hold it until after your final court date, at which time your cash will be returned to you. So the example I like to use is if you are charged with battery family violence, I tell you your bond is $6,000. That means you or someone you know would have to bring down to the sheriff $6,000 plus any fees, and the sheriff will hold that money until your case is closed. Now, if you don't have the full amount in cash, you can use what is called a bonding company. A bonding company typically requires that you pay 12 to 15% of the bond. The difference is you don't get that money back. The bonding company keeps it. So if your bond again is $6,000, you typically would be required to pay about $750, and then that amount you would lose, and then you would be able to bond out. The final way that you can make bond is a property bond. And that's where either you or someone you know has 3 times the amount of your bond in equity in their home. They would bring the title to that property down to the sheriff, and the sheriff holds that title until your case is closed. So again, if your bond is $6,000, that means someone you know would have to own property and have at least $18,000 in equity in order to use that. Now, in addition to the charges, in addition to telling you what your bond amount is, there are those of you all who I will advise that you have what are called special conditions. That means you may have to stay away from someone. If I tell you that you have a stay away or a no contact order, that means you're to have no contact whatsoever with the alleged victim. You may not call, text, email, write a letter to, or even contact through social media. You can't even do something as nice as write a song for that individual. If I order you not to return to a particular location, that means you cannot go back to that location for any reason. If the no return location that I tell you is a place you were living prior to this alleged incident with the alleged victim, I will allow you to go back, but only with the sheriff's office and within 10 days of your release, so long as you make an appointment with them to get items that belong to you. Now, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, there are those of you all who will violate the bond, meaning you will either go back somewhere you're not supposed to, or you will talk to someone that you are not supposed to. Please understand that any violation of any bond that I tell you about this morning can result in additional felony charges, such as aggravated stalking or influencing a witness, and they can carry up to 20 years in prison, as well as a fine to accompany any additional charges. Now, lastly, as to bond, if the alleged victim is a spouse, a family member, or friend, they are not allowed to post bond for you. And so you will need to get someone else in order to have you released. Now, there's at least one of you all who is charged with an offense while you're on probation. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, for that person, I am not authorized to set bond at this time. So whether bond is appropriate in that particular case will be considered after the probation officer has had an opportunity to consider this new arrest. So now, as I said, we're going to talk about what you've been charged with, what your bond is, how much your bond is, and whether if there are any special conditions. The last thing, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm going to talk to you all about this morning is a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing is a hearing where you are present, the officer is present, the judge is present. It's not your trial, but that's where we determine if there's enough evidence for your case to go forward to the prosecutor. It can be dismissed, your case can at that time, or the case can move forward and then a further charge will be made. For those of you all who are charged with a felony, you have an absolute right to that preliminary hearing, and I'm going to give you that date here this morning, as long as you don't make bond. Those of you all who are charged with a misdemeanor, you do have a right to that preliminary hearing, but you have to exercise that right, which means you have to tell me this morning, do you want your preliminary hearing or do you want it waived? Now, telling me you want the preliminary hearing means I'll give it to you, the date, and if you don't make bond, you will have it. The alternative is you can tell me, Judge, I don't want that hearing here this morning. And if you do tell me that, I will send it directly on up to the prosecutor, which means that your case will move somewhat faster. Now, with that, ladies and gentlemen, if I could have everyone to please raise their right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the information that you're about to give this court, as well as any information you provided on your application for the court-appointed counsel, is true and correct? And if so, I need each and every one of you to say, I do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you can put your hands down. Now, Deputy, I believe there were two individuals that needed interpreters. Is that correct?
That is correct. And they're also fugitive also.
So there was a total of 3 or a total of 2?
Total of 2 that's Spanish, but we have a total of 1, 2.
I think there was like 3 or 4.
Yeah, 4 fugitives also.
Okay, so I think it was Mr. Perez and Mr. Garcia. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, correct. Yes.
Okay, if I could have both of those gentlemen to the screen, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Jarty, while we're waiting on them, if I could have you please raise your right hand.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm that the information that you'll provide this morning that you will appropriately translate it from English to Spanish and Spanish to English?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. All right, ma'am. So one of these gentlemen, Mr. Perez, is charged with an offense this morning, and then the other is a fugitive from justice. So we'll go through their rights together and then do them individually.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Judge Thorpe.
Buenos días, señores. Yo soy el juez Thorpe.
And I am the judge that is going to inform each of you all this morning what you've been charged with and what the next steps are in your case.
Soy el juez que voy a informar de lo que son los cargos imputados y cuáles son los próximos pasos en su caso.
First, let me say, gentlemen, before we begin, however, this is not your trial, and I am not here to take a plea. So please be mindful of that as we talk about your case, because you don't want to say something that is being recorded and that will harm you down the line.
Pero primero, tengan presente que este no es su juicio, tampoco voy a aceptar una declaración ante los cargos en su caso. tenga esto presente, la audiencia se está grabando y no quisiera que usted haga o diga algo que le pudiera perjudicar en su caso.
Okay. Now, first, the purpose of today's hearing is to inform you with each of you with what you've been charged, to set bond where I can, and then to schedule a preliminary hearing, and also advise you if you qualify for an attorney this morning.
El propósito de esta audiencia inicial es para informarles de los cargos que se han formulado en su contra, fijar fianza donde pueda, programar la fecha de su audiencia preliminar y determinar si necesitan la ayuda de un abogado.
Okay. In addition to the right to remain silent, each of you has a right to a presumption of innocence.
Además del derecho de permanecer callado, cada uno de ustedes tiene el derecho a la presunción de inocencia.
The right to an indictment by grand jury for felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors.
El derecho a la presentación de un documento inculpatorio formal por el gran jurado cuando se trata de delitos graves o la presentación de una acusación en su contra cuando se trata de delitos menores.
The right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
El derecho a un juicio público y sin demora con jurado.
The right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify for you.
El derecho a exigir la presencia de testigos para que declaren a su favor.
The right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you.
El derecho a ver, escuchar e interrogar los testigos que se presentan a declarar en su contra.
The right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense.
El derecho a declarar a nombre suyo o presentar pruebas en su defensa.
You also have the right to an attorney, as I mentioned earlier, and if you cannot afford one, I can consider you whether you qualify for one for free.
También tiene derecho a ser representado por un abogado y si no tuviera los medios para contratar uno, yo podría considerar si ustedes cumplen los criterios para un abogado asignado.
Okay. Now, if I could speak to Mr. Rivera directly, please.
Ahora, si puedo hablar directamente con el señor Rivera.
Are you Mr. Rivera?
¿Es
Excuse me,
usted el
yes,
señor Rivera?
Are you Mr. Rivera?
¿Es usted el señor Rivera?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. So, Mr. Rivera, I'm going to tell you what you've been charged with, and then I'm going to talk to you about bond, and then lastly, I'm going to ask you about what is called a preliminary hearing.
Bueno, señor, le voy a informar de los cargos imputados en su contra, le voy a explicar sobre la fianza y luego voy a hablar con usted sobre la audiencia preliminar.
Okay. So, Mr. Perez, you are charged with one count of no license and one count of driving under the influence of alcohol.
Señor Pérez, a usted se le ha imputado el delito de manejar sin licencia y también un cargo de manejar bajo los efectos de alcohol.
The bond on the no license is $1,000, and the bond on the DUI is $4,500.
La fianza por el cargo de no licencia, manejar sin licencia, es $1,000 y la fianza de manejar bajo el efecto de alcohol es $4,500.
Now, because you are charged with a misdemeanor, sir, if you don't make your bond, you have a right to what is called a preliminary hearing. That's a hearing where you are present, the judge is present, as well as the prosecutor, to determine if there is enough evidence to go forward on your case.
Ahora, como a usted se le ha imputado un delito menor, usted tiene el derecho a una audiencia preliminar donde usted estará presente, el juez estará presente, el fiscal, y ahí el juez determinará si existe suficientes pruebas para que el caso siga adelante.
Okay. Now, in order to make your bond, Mr. Perez, you can make bond in one of two ways.
Para pagar la fianza, señor Pérez, se puede pagar la fianza de dos maneras.
You can make your bond by you or someone you know paying the full amount of $5,500 plus any fees to the sheriff that will then be returned to you once your court date is over.
Se puede pagar la fianza si usted o alguien que usted conoce pague la cantidad total de 5,500 más las tarifas correspondientes al alguacil y luego la fianza se le devolverá una vez que asista a su cita judicial.
Or if you do not believe you have the full amount in bond, you can use what is called a bonding company, at which time you would only be responsible for 15% of that amount, but you do not get that money returned to you.
O si no cree que tiene la cantidad total de la fianza, entonces podría ir con una compañía de fianzas donde le cobrarán el 15% de la fianza, pero la diferencia es que no le devuelven este pago.
Okay. I tell you that this morning, sir, because if you don't believe you're going to make bond, then we can have a discussion about the preliminary hearing, because the preliminary hearing will only happen if you don't make bond.
Le digo eso, señor, porque si usted no cree que va a poder pagar la fianza, la audiencia preliminar solamente tendrá lugar si no sale bajo fianza.
Okay. So my first question to you, Mr. Perez, is do you want me to schedule a preliminary hearing for you, or do you want me to skip it and send it over to the prosecutor directly, which makes your case move faster?
Entonces le pregunto, señor, si usted quisiera que yo programe la fecha de su audiencia preliminar o si usted prefiere saltar la audiencia para que su caso se envíe directamente al fiscal, lo cual hace que el caso suceda más rápido.
Que programe la corte.
The problem is the court date.
Well, I'm asking you, yes, sir. Do you want me to set a preliminary hearing court date for you, or would you like to skip that and send your case directly to the prosecutor?
Sí, señor, le estoy preguntando si usted quisiera que yo programe la fecha de su audiencia preliminar o si usted quisiera saltar esa audiencia y que yo envíe el caso directamente al fiscal.
Que él programe la audiencia preliminar.
If you could schedule the preliminary hearing.
Okay. Well, then with that, sir, if you don't make your bond, your next court date is going to be December 3rd of 2024. That's going to be at 8:30 a.m. And that also, like today, will be via Zoom.
En ese caso, señor, si usted no sale bajo fianza, la fecha de su audiencia preliminar será el 13 de diciembre de 2024 a las 8:30 de la mañana, igual que hoy sería por medio de Zoom.
Now, based on the information that you provided here to me this morning, sir, I am also going to go ahead and grant you bond. Excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and grant you an attorney free of charge. And so you will not have to worry about an attorney, sir.
Y también, basándome en la información presentada acá, señor, ya le voy a asignar un abogado sin costo para usted, así que no tendrá que preocuparse por un abogado. Le voy a asignar un abogado.
All right, sir, that's all I have for you this morning. Unless you have any questions, good luck to you.
Bueno, señor, es toda la información que tengo para usted esta mañana, a no ser que usted tenga alguna pregunta. Buena suerte.
Solamente quiero saber lo de el banco que paga la fianza o que presta el dinero para la fianza.
I just would like to know about the bank paying the bond, or can the money be loaned to pay the bond?
Yes, sir. You can either pay it directly if you have a debit card with you to the sheriff, or if you need to get it from someone else, yes, they can bring it up to the sheriff, or as I said, you can use the bonding company.
Sí, señor. O usted podría pagar la fianza directamente a la oficina del alguacil con una tarjeta de débito, o si usted necesita conseguir el dinero de otra persona, esa persona puede llevar el dinero directamente a la oficina del sheriff, o como mencioné anteriormente, puede hacer uso de una compañía de fianzas.
Solo pregunto cómo puedo contactarme con la compañía de fianza.
I'm just asking, how can I get in contact with the bonding company?
Okay. The sheriff's office will have to assist you there. You will be allowed to make a phone call.
Los de la oficina del alguacil tendría que ayudarle, pero a usted sí le van a permitir hacer una llamada.
Ok, gracias.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor.
All right. If I could have Mr. Garcia.
Señor García, adelante, por favor.
All right, Mr. Garcia, your circumstances are a little bit different, sir.
Señor García, usted tiene una circunstancia algo diferente.
Okay? You are wanted for a prior conviction out of the state of Texas.
Lo están buscando por una condena previa en el estado de Texas.
Okay? And there is a warrant for your arrest, which is why you were arrested by Clayton County.
Y existe una orden de arresto en su contra y por eso usted fue arrestado por el condado de Clayton.
Okay? So you have a couple of options, sir.
Entonces, señor, usted tiene un par de opciones.
Okay? Option one is you telling me you would like to have a hearing at which time the people in Texas have to prove that they did everything correct when they sought this warrant against you.
Opción 1 sería que usted me dirá que quiere una audiencia para determinar que el estado de Texas hizo todo lo correcto. Your Honor, I'm sorry, that the state of Texas did everything correct too.
The state of Texas did everything correct when they brought this warrant against you.
Entonces, opción 1 sería que usted me dirá que quiere tener una audiencia para determinar que el estado de Texas hizo todo lo correcto cuando ellos levantaron este orden de arresto en su contra.
Okay? If you choose that option, sir, you may sit here in custody up to between 60 to 90 days.
Si usted elige esa opción, podría permanecer aquí detenido entre 60 y 90 días.
Okay. Option 2 is you tell me, Judge, I do not want to contest what the state of Texas has done, and I would rather send me back to Texas to deal with this case.
Opción 2 sería que usted me diría, señor juez, yo no quiero disputar lo que ha hecho Texas. Yo quiero que usted me mande voluntariamente devuelto a Texas para lidiar con este caso.
If you choose option 2, the state of Texas has 30 days to come get you or you will be released.
Si usted elige la opción número 2, entonces el estado de Texas tendrá un plazo de 30 días para venir por usted y si no, usted saldrá en libertad.
Which choice would you like, sir?
¿Cuál opción quisiera, señor?
Pues pienso que lo mejor sería la número 2, pienso.
Well, I think that the best would be number 2. Number 2, I think.
No
All
descarto,
right, sir.
no descarto la posibilidad, pero en la primera, ¿cuál es la diferencia de la primera y la segunda?
And what is the difference, Your Honor, between the first and the second?
The first will require them to prove that the warrant that they have out for you was done correctly. The second, you are telling me you don't want to contest the warrant. You just want to go back so that you can work this out.
En la primera opción, el estado de Texas tiene que probar que la orden de arresto que ellos emitieron se tramitó de la manera correcta. En la segunda opción, usted me estaría diciendo que usted no quiere disputar lo que ha hecho Texas, solamente quiere volver para resolver el caso pendiente allá.
Sí, esa, la opción número 2, sí, ya la entendí.
Yes, that one, the option number 2. I understand now.
All right. Well, that's all I have for you, sir, today. Good luck to you and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Está bien, es todo lo que tengo para usted. Gracias.
Muy amable.
You've been very kind.
All right. All right, Ms. Jartu, that's all I have for you this morning, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. All right, that should take us to our dots, folks. I have with the females, Armbruster, Armstrong, and Brown.
Yes, Your Honor. Brown, I'm Russian.
Brown's here. Here's Armstrong. Who's Armstrong? Okay, she's over here. Turn it down. You're welcome.
All right, are you Miss Armbruster?
Yes, sir.
All right, Miss Armbruster, you were charged here Give me one more. Okay. You were charged here by the law enforcement with 1 count of DUI, 1 count of distracted driving, and 1 count of failure to maintain lane. As I mentioned earlier, ma'am, because you were charged with misdemeanors, you have the right to that preliminary hearing that I mentioned, or you can waive that right to that hearing. Which would you like to do, ma'am? Have it or waive it? All right. So, ma'am, if you do not make your bond that I'm going to go over you with, your next court date is going to be December 3rd. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that, ma'am? All right. Now, your bond for the DUI is $5,000. Your bond for the distracted driving is $500. Your bond for the failure to maintain lane is $500 for a total of $6,000. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Now, based on the information that you have provided to me, ma'am, I am going to go ahead and I'm going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer. So you will have a lawyer free of charge.
I'll pick you up from that.
All right. Do you have any other questions for me, ma'am?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry?
No.
All right, ma'am. Good luck to you. All right. Are you Miss? Come on up. Yep. Are you Miss Armstrong?
No, my name is Tatiana Brown.
Okay, this is Brown. Excuse me. All right, Miss Brown. All right, Ms. Brown, here you are charged with 1 count of criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree as a felony and 1 count of battery family violence. Because you are charged with the felony, ma'am, your next court date is going to be December 2nd, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom, should you not bond out. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
Your bond amount is a total of $6,500. The criminal damage carries a bond of $3,000. The battery family violence carries a bond of $3,500. Ma'am, you do have special conditions. Those are to stay away from the alleged victim, Alyssa Riley, as well as the address of 303 Country Club Drive. Do you understand that, ma'am?
You said stay away from there?
Yes, ma'am. I understand that based on the information I have, that's where you were living. But as I said earlier, ma'am, you will have to stay away from that address. And what's going to happen is if you do bond out, you will have to set up a time with the sheriff's office. They will escort you there. And then at that point, you'll be allowed to get any items that belong to you until such time as either your case is closed or that bond is modified. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right. Any other questions I can answer for you, ma'am?
No.
All right, ma'am. Good luck to you.
I gotta give you some socks.
Are you Miss Armstrong?
Yes.
All right, Miss Armstrong, you are charged here with 1 count of theft by services and 1 count of obstruction of an officer, ma'am. Based on the information that I have here this morning, I am going to go ahead and release you here today. Now, please listen to me. That does not mean that your case has ended. It only means that you will be released until such time as your case is disposed of. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm also going to give you a lawyer free of charge. So please, 2 things. 1, make sure that you have a telephone that your lawyer can reach out to you for. And then 2, make sure that we have the best known address for you so that when you are released today, they will be able to get in contact with you by sending you a letter for your next court date. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
All right. Good luck to you, Miss Armstrong.
Thank
Thank you. Next up should be Forbes, Gardner, and Hassan. Forbes, Gardner, and Hassan.
Gardner. Gardner, Hassan. Gardner, Hassan.
All right. Are you Miss Forbes?
No, I'm Ellis.
Miss Ellis, if you could hold, yeah, because I think she's off shots. All right. Are you Miss Forbes?
No.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name, ma'am?
It's Forbes Meyer.
All right, Miss Forbes, you're charged with 1 count of criminal trespass, ma'am. That is a misdemeanor. Because of that, ma'am, you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or, ma'am, you can waive that right to that preliminary hearing. Which would you like to do, ma'am? Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
Schedule.
Okay. Actually, ma'am, I'm looking at the information I have. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're gonna schedule it. All right, so that preliminary hearing date, ma'am, is gonna be December 3rd, and that's gonna be at 8:30 a.m., and that's gonna be via Zoom. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Now, based on the information that I have here this morning, ma'am, I am gonna go ahead and I'm going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer here this morning. That means you will get a lawyer free of charge. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions for me about anything, ma'am?
No.
All right, ma'am. So then again, your next court date, Ms. Forbes, is going to be, if you don't make your bond, December 3rd, that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. That's going to be via Zoom. Your bond here is $1,500. We've already talked about that, and I have given you a court-appointed lawyer, all right?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Hi.
All right, good morning, ma'am. Are you Ms. Gardner?
Yes, Gardner Caitlin.
Yes, Ms. Gardner, you are charged here by law enforcement with 1 count of simple battery. That is a misdemeanor, ma'am. And so that means you have the right to the preliminary hearing that I spoke of, or you can waive that right to that preliminary hearing. Which would you like to do, ma'am? Have it or waive it?
I would like to schedule the hearing.
All right, ma'am. So that means your next court date will be, if you don't make your bond, will be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you will have a bond that I'm going to go over here with you. That bond is going to be $2,500. Do you understand that?
Can you repeat that? It kind of cut out.
The bond is $2,500.
Okay.
Am I correct that you have children that go to the same facility as Ms. Forbes and the other individual?
No, sir, that's not correct.
Okay. Why were you at that facility, if you don't mind me asking?
They invited my boyfriend and I to come volunteer, but they told us that Ms. Forbes wasn't going to be there. So I
So
just went there with him.
Okay, so then you would have no other reason than to have contact with Ms. Forbes?
What did you say, sir? I'm sorry.
So moving forward, you would have no reason to have contact with Ms. Forbes?
Yes, that's correct, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm gonna add here, ma'am, in addition to your bond, a special condition, and that's for you to have no contact with Ms. Forbes, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
And so that means if you see her coming down the street, you go the opposite direction so that you don't violate this bond until this is resolved and somehow. Do you understand?
Yes.
You have any questions about anything of me, ma'am?
No, sir.
Only other thing I want to add, ma'am, is I did review the information that you provided here this morning. You do not, based on what you provided to me, qualify for a court-appointed attorney. But if you would like an attorney to assist you on your case, you will have to hire your own. Do you understand that?
Yes, that's fine.
All right, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Excellent.
All right. After Ms. Hassan, I have Hayes, Naylor, and Pugh. Should be Hayes, Naylor, and Pugh. P-U-D-H.
Hayes.
Hayes, Naylor, and Pugh. Are you Ms. Hassan?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hassan, you are charged here in this particular allegation by law enforcement here, ma'am. I don't know if you're aware, but you got multiple cases here. The first is a warrant ending in 73520. Now, we're going to kind of talk about all of them at the same time here. They are 4 separate accounts of theft by deception as a felony. Because of that, ma'am, you are entitled to what is called a preliminary hearing. So for each of these cases, ma'am, your next court date is going to be December 2nd at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom if you don't make your bond. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, are you working right now, ma'am?
I own my own business, Your Honor.
How much are you making per month?
I make $60,000 a month, Your Honor.
60 a month?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So based on that, ma'am, you do not qualify for a court-appointed attorney.
Yes, sir.
If you would like an attorney, ma'am, you will have to hire your own. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, the only last thing I need to go over with you is just your bond amount for each one of these charges. We went over the first one. That's the one ending in 20. That particular one, ma'am, your bond amount is going to be $3,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right. For the next one, let me give you your bond here. That's the one ending in 7351. Again, you're going to have that same court date. That's going to be on the 2nd of December. Your bond amount for that one is $5,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's the first two.
Hold on, y'all, how many I got?
You have 4 separate charges, ma'am. Looks like you
Oh, okay. Okay,
4 separate dates that they are alleging so far. The
okay.
third one ends in 522,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll have that court date on December 2nd. Your bond amount there, ma'am, is $5,000 again. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then lastly, ma'am, the final one ending in 523, again, same court date, December 2nd. Bond amount there is also $5,000. And of course, again, you will have to hire your own attorney, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have any questions about anything of me?
No, sir.
All right, ma'am. Well, then that's all I have for you, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, should be Miss Hayes, Naylor, and Pugh. Hayes, should be Hayes, Naylor, Pugh. Are you Miss Hayes?
No, I'm Naylor T.
Okay, we'll go ahead and give me
I'm signing my life away.
give me 1 second. Naylor. All right, so Tiffany Naylor, is that correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
All right, so Miss Naylor, you are charged here with 1 count of battery family violence as a misdemeanor. Now, because that is a misdemeanor, ma'am, you do have a right to that preliminary hearing that I mentioned earlier, or you can waive your right to that hearing. Would you like to have that hearing, ma'am, or waive that right?
You can schedule it, Your Honor.
All right, ma'am. So that means if you do not make your bond, your next court date, should you not make bond, will be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, your bond amount for this misdemeanor battery family violence is $4,000. You do have special conditions, ma'am, and they are to stay away from Arikia Naylor, the alleged victim, as well as the address of 1906 Summerwind Trail. Now, I understand that that may have been a place that you were living at the time that this happened. If that is the case, ma'am, as I said before, you are not allowed to return to that property unless and until your case is closed or your bond is modified. Do you understand that?
I have a question there. She's no longer there now, so what if I still can't go to my
No, ma'am, you would need to speak with your attorney. I have appointed you an attorney here this morning. You'll
Okay.
want to speak with him about that, let him know those circumstances, and he'll know he or she will know what to do from there.
Okay.
All right, good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And your name, ma'am?
Alexis Miller.
Miller?
Yes.
So I should have a are you Alexis, otherwise known as Alexis Hayes?
They keep saying Hayes, but it's Alexis. Yes.
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 Okay. Yes, ma'am. I see it. They just got in here wrong. I got you. All right. So, ma'am, let me get they just have it in here wrong. Ma'am, you are charged here with 1 count of battery family violence, ma'am. That is a misdemeanor. That means you have a right to the preliminary hearing that I spoke of, or you can waive your right to that preliminary hearing. Which would you like to do, ma'am? Would you like to have it or waive it?
Like to waive the 7.
All right, ma'am. So I'm going to show this morning that you are waiving your right to that preliminary hearing. That means once we are done here, the deputy will have a piece of paper for you to sign. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, as far as your bond amount, ma'am, you do have a bond that's $3,500. You do have special conditions, ma'am. Those are going to include that you need to stay away from an Alonzo Miller. You need to also stay away from the address of 505 Flint River Trail. So that's somewhere that you were living when this happened, as I've told those folks before you. Please make sure that if you bond out, that you get with the sheriff's office within 10 days of your release, and they will assist you in getting any items out that belong to you, okay? All right, ma'am. That's all I have for you this morning. Good luck to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, should be Amanda Pugh, and then after that, I've got Renee Robinson and Jasmine Ward. All right, and ma'am, what's your last name?
You,
All right, so Miss Pugh, are you working right now?
yes.
And how much are you earning per month, ma'am?
4,000 one.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a key account supervisor at Atlanta Freight.
Okay. So Miss Pugh, you were charged here by law enforcement with 1 count of trafficking in amphetamine, 1 count of trafficking in ecstasy, 1 count of trafficking in cocaine. You are charged with possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. These are all felonies except for the marijuana, ma'am, meaning that you are entitled to a preliminary hearing. Your next court date is going to be December 2nd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Again, that's going to be December 2nd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. You're going to have a second court date, ma'am, of December 6th at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom as well. That's going to be your bond hearing date because I am no bonding you today. You will have no bond on the methamphetamine, no bond on the ecstasy, no bond on the cocaine, no bond on the convicted felon. You do have a bond, ma'am, of $2,500, however, on the marijuana. Again, your first court date is going to be on the 2nd for preliminary hearing. Your second court date is going to be the bond hearing on December 6th because you are in a no bond status. Now, lastly, ma'am, I have reviewed the information that you provided to me here verbally. And based on that information, ma'am, you do not qualify for a court-appointed attorney. And so if you would like an attorney, you will have to your own. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions from you, ma'am?
No, sir. You said that was December 2nd prelims, December 6th bond hearing, right?
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right. And are you Miss Robinson?
Yes, sir.
Miss Robinson, you were charged with 1 count of simple assault, 1 count of criminal trespass, and 1 count of terroristic threat, ma'am. Those are all misdemeanors, which means you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that right to the hearing. Which would you like to do, ma'am? Have it or waive it?
Waive it.
All right. So showing waived it, ma'am, when we're done here this morning, the deputy is there to your right. We'll have a piece of paper for you to sign, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, as to your bond, ma'am, the criminal trespass carries a bond of $2,500. The simple assault, $2,500. The terroristic threat, $5,000 for a total bond of $10,000. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
You do have special conditions, ma'am. Those are to stay away from Catherine Hall, as well as to stay away from the address of 3538 Saddle Creek Lane. Was that, do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Was that somewhere you were living, ma'am?
No, sir. That's where my daughter was living at.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. So based on the information that you provided, ma'am, I have gone ahead and I've appointed you a court-appointed lawyer, so you will have a lawyer free of charge. That's all I have for you this morning, ma'am, unless you have any questions for me.
I do have a question, but I have an attorney already, so do I still have to take the other one or I can use my own? He's paid
You do
already.
not, ma'am. The attorney that you have will know what needs to be done so that the court-appointed attorney is taken off. So I'm going to leave it on there just for this morning. But
Yes,
if you have someone, they'll make sure that the other person's taken off. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And the last female should be Jasmine Ward on Jots. And then men on Jots are Alexander Campbell and Eileen, if you want to start grabbing those gentlemen.
We have more females.
Or do you want to go ahead and go off Jots with the females first?
Yes, take it all, and after that, do all the females.
Okay, that's no problem. We'll do that next then. I'll if you want to start getting them in order. Are you Miss Ward?
Yes, sir.
Miss Ward, you are charged here with 1 count of violation of possession of marijuana less than an ounce as a misdemeanor, and then 2 felony counts of drugs. Because you are charged with felonies, ma'am, your next court date is going to be your preliminary hearing, December 2nd at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
Now, as to your bond, the marijuana carries a bond of $1,000. The drugs each carry bond amounts of $3,500 for a total bond of $7,000 for the drugs and $1,000 for the marijuana. So your total bond will be $1,000. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes.
Now, what I have here is that you are currently working. Is that correct, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
And it says here that you're earning about, it says $4,600 per month. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so, right after that.
Okay. Now, because of that, ma'am, you do not qualify for a court-appointed attorney. And so because of that, you will have to hire your own if you so choose. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right, ma'am, that's all I have for you this morning. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
All right, ma'am, good luck to you. All right, ma'am, and what's your name?
I'm Ellis Brianna.
Okay. All right, I got you right here. All right, so Ms. Ellis, you are charged with 1 count of public drunk, 1 count of obstruction of an officer, and 1 count of battery. Those are all misdemeanors. The public drunk carries a bond amount of $1,000. The obstruction carries a bond amount of $2,500, and the battery carries a bond amount of $2,500, ma'am. So your total bond amount is $6,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, I know.
Now, I see here, it says you're earning about $1,500 a month. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, other thing I need to ask you, because you were charged with misdemeanors, you have a right to what we call that preliminary hearing, or you can waive that right to that preliminary hearing, ma'am. Which would you like to do, ma'am? Have it or waive it?
Waive it.
All right. So since you have chosen to waive your preliminary hearing this morning, the deputies, once I'm done with you, ma'am, are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign. And once you sign that piece of paper, that's all I have for you then. I have gone ahead and given you a court-appointed attorney as well, okay?
Okay.
All right, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And your name, ma'am?
Oh, Rodriguez.
You said Rodriguez?
Yes, let me.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay, Isabella?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Miss Isabella, you are charged with 1 count of simple battery. Your bond amount is $2,500. You do have special conditions, ma'am, and that is to stay away from the alleged victim, Mr. Arnold Sanchez, until either that is modified or your case is closed. Do you understand that, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Now, you were charged with misdemeanors. Because these are misdemeanors, you have a right to that preliminary hearing I mentioned, or you can waive your right to that hearing. Which would you like to do, ma'am? Would you like to have that hearing or waive that hearing?
I'll go ahead and have the hearing.
All right, ma'am. So I hear that you are asking me to go ahead and set that hearing for you this morning. So if you don't bond out, your next court date, ma'am, is going to be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. And that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 3rd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom, okay?
And that's if I don't bond out, sir?
Yes, ma'am. That's if you don't bond out. If you bond out, then it's automatically waived. And your next court date will be sent to you in the mail.
Okay, yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions I can answer for you, ma'am?
No, sir.
All right, ma'am. Well, then that's all I have for you this morning, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. Are you Miss Thornton?
Yes, sir.
All right, Miss Thornton, you're charged with 1 count of theft by shoplifting, 1 count of obstruction of an officer as a misdemeanor. Your total bond is $4,000. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You, ma'am, are going to have a special condition, and that is to stay away from 4950 Old Dixie Road, that BP gas station where this is alleged to have happened, okay?
Yes, sir.
And then lastly, ma'am, if you don't make bond, your next court date is going to be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions, Ms. Thornton, of me?
Is it any way like we can do like a signature bond? Because yesterday, when I was trying to when I was in intake, it was like they was doing me a signature bond.
Okay. No, ma'am, there is not.
Okay.
All right, ma'am. Good luck to
How
you.
much you said that bond is?
A
4,000?
total of 4,000. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, ma'am. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, so also, is that all the females?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Before it logs me out, if we could jump to Jot. I've got Brian Alexander, Mario Campbell, and then that Rosnow Alien. Alexander Campbell and Alien.
Okay.
Leave me alone.
I don't see here that Mr. Alexander filled out a court appointed sheet either.
We got everybody.
All in favor, y'all go down to one.
Alexander.
Leave it right here.
Huh?
You gotta keep it.
Alexander. The last name's Alexander?
Yes, sir.
No, we don't have an Alexander. Is it an add-on?
I see, yeah, because I see he didn't fill out anything. He's showing here on my roll, Brian Alexander. Okay, he may have, looks like, okay, they've graded him out. So he may have bonded out since then, since when he was on the list. Okay, you should have Mario Campbell, Rosno Alien, and then I believe it's Maria Hamilton.
All right.
All right, are you Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell, you are charged here with one count of simple battery family violence, sir. It is a misdemeanor. That means you have a right to the preliminary hearing that I talked about, or you can waive that preliminary hearing. Which would you like to do? Have it or waive it, sir?
Have it.
All right, sir. So if you don't make the bond that we're going to talk about this morning, your next court date is going to be December 3rd. That's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 3rd. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Your bond amount, sir, is $2,500. You do have special conditions, sir. They are to stay away from Anashavia Render and from the address of 8928 Tree Drive. And so, as I said a few times earlier, if that is a place that you were living at the time that this happened, please understand that you will have to stay away from that address until your case is closed or you are escorted there by the sheriff's office to pick up any items that belong to you. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, I've reviewed the information, Mr. Campbell, that you provided to me here this morning, and based on that, sir, you do not qualify for a court-appointed attorney. And so if you would like an attorney to assist you on your case, you will have to hire your own. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Wait, sir. Next.
All right, and after Hamilton, it should be Jackson, James, and Lovelace. Jackson, James, and Lovelace. All right, are you Mr. Rosnall?
Yes.
Mr. Rosnall, you are charged with one count of criminal trespass as a misdemeanor, one count of simple assault, and one count of battery family violence, sir. Those are all misdemeanors, which means you have a right to the preliminary hearing that I spoke of earlier, sir, or you can waive that right. Would you like to have your hearing or waive it?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to have the hearing?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then, sir, I'm going to go ahead, and if you don't make your bond that we're going to talk about, I'm going to set your next court date. It's going to be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. Again, that's December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. Now, as to your bond for the criminal trespass is $1,500, for the simple assault $2,500, and for the battery $3,500, for a total bond of $7,500. You do have special conditions, sir, and that's to stay away from Miss Marie Desivray and the address of 134 Falcon Crest Trail. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, if that was a place, as I said, that you were living before, please understand, sir, that unless this bond is modified, you're to stay away from that address and the only time you can return is either one of two things or three things. Your bond is modified, your case is closed, or you're with the sheriff's deputy and they take you there so you can get your items until your case is closed, okay?
Okay.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Rosno. All right, are you Mr. Hamilton?
Yes, sir.
All right, so here, Mr. Hamilton, you are charged by law enforcement with one count of simple battery family violence. That is a misdemeanor, sir, which means that you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that right. Which would you like to do, have it or waive it?
Have it.
All right, sir, so that means if you don't make your bond here that we're going to discuss, your next court date is going to be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Again, that's December 3rd, 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Now, your bond amount, sir, is $4,000, and you do have a special condition, and that is to stay away from the alleged victim in the matter, Miss Amaya Forbes. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, I have reviewed the information that you provided to us here this morning, sir, and based on that information, you do qualify for a court-appointed attorney, and so one will be afforded to you free of charge. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir, any questions I can answer for you?
No, sir.
All right, then that's all I have, sir, for you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, should be Jackson, James, and Lovelace. All right, are you Mr. Jackson?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Jackson, you are charged here with, actually, okay, so you're a fugitive from justice. Okay. Deputy, we can hold, my apologies, we can hold all the fugitives for last. Yeah, I apologize. Oh, Mr. Jackson, if you'll just step back. Are you Mr. James?
Yes, sir, I am.
Mr. James, you're charged with one count of trafficking in amphetamine, one count of trafficking in ecstasy, and one count of trafficking in cocaine. Those are all felonies, sir. You're also charged with possession of less than 1 ounce of marijuana, as well as possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. Now, because you are charged with several felonies, sir, you will have 2 court dates we're going to talk about. Your first court date coming up is going to be your preliminary hearing, and that's going to be December 2nd, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Again, that first court date is going to be December 2nd, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, you're going to have a second court date, sir. That's going to be your bond hearing, because I'm going to no bond you today. All of your felonies are no bond. The amphetamine, no bond. Ecstasy, no bond. Cocaine, no bond. The convicted felon charge is no bond as well. You do have a bond of $2,500 on the misdemeanor marijuana. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Now, I've looked at the information that you provided to us this morning on your court-appointed form, and based on that information, sir, you do qualify for a court-appointed lawyer free of charge. So you will have that, Mr. James. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, sir. What was the second court date for the bond hearing you said?
December 6th.
6.
Okay?
Do you know who that'll be in front of?
No, I do not. Nope.
Do you know who that'll be in front of?
I said no.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. I said thank you.
Okay. All right, if I could have Mr. Lovelace. And then after that, I've got Parker, Cordy, and Radinus are next. Parker, Cordy, and Radinus. Are you Mr. Lovelace?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lovelace, you are charged with 1 misdemeanor count of criminal trespass. That is a misdemeanor, sir, which means you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that right. Which would you like to do? Have your hearing or waive it?
I'll take the hearing.
All right, so your next court date, sir, should you not make your bond, is going to be December 23rd. That's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 23rd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Mr. Lovelace, are you currently working?
No, not right now. Well, I am though, technically for my mom, the person that criminally trespassed me from my house, but whatever.
Okay. So then, based on that, sir, I'm going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer.
I live there too, bro.
Okay. So based on that, sir, I'm going to give you a lawyer free of charge to help you out on your case, okay?
Thank you.
Now, your bond amount, sir, for this criminal trespass is $1,500. You do have special conditions. You're going to have to stay away from the Kia Chambliss and from the address of 7661 Broadhurst Trail. Now, based on what you were saying, I understand that you may have been living there at the time. So that means, sir, if you make your bond, that you're gonna have to get with the sheriff's office within 10 days of your release in order to go there to get any items that may belong to you, okay?
Good, thank you. Could you repeat that address for me again?
It was the Broadhurst address.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm saying repeat it, just repeat it, but I just want to hear it, make sure that's the one I'm trespassed from.
Yeah, the 3661 Broadhurst.
Whatever you say, yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right, sir. Unless you have any questions for me, that's all I got for you.
I got no more, but the bond, you said it can't be nobody, my mom be the only person that could post that, so I can't
No,
go.
no, sir. Yep. You
So I
can't do
stay
it.
until the next court day, that's cool. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
After the election.
All right. Next up should be Parker, and after Parker, Cordy, and Radinus. All right. Good morning, sir. And are you Mr. Parker? Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so Mr. Parker, you are charged with 1 count of possession of felony controlled substance, 1 count of possession of cocaine, 1 count of possession of meth, 1 count of misdemeanor possession of marijuana less than an ounce, 1 count of possession of drug-related objects as a misdemeanor, and 1 count of possession of ecstasy with the intent to distribute. Now, because those are majority felonies, your next court date, sir, is going to be December 2nd at 8:30 a.m. I'm going to give you 2 court dates. Again, the first is going to be December 2nd, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, because of the information you provided to me here this morning, sir, I am going to appoint you a court-appointed lawyer, so you will have a lawyer free of charge to assist you on your cases, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, as to your bond, the misdemeanor marijuana less than an ounce carries a bond of $1,500. The drug-related objects carries a bond of $1,500. The controlled substance felony is a no bond. Possession of cocaine, you're on a no bond. Possession of methamphetamine, no bond. Possession of ecstasy with the intent to distribute, no bond as well. Your next court date after the preliminary hearing will be a bond hearing date, sir. And that bond hearing date is going to be December 6th at 8:30 a.m. Your first court date, your preliminary hearing on the 2nd. Your second court date will be your bond hearing, which will be December 6th at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Good luck to you, sir. And what's your name, sir?
Derek Smith.
Okay. Okay, Cordy is a fugitive from justice. Okay. Radney is fugitive. Okay. Mr. Smith, you are charged here by law enforcement with 1 count of criminal damage to property in the second, 1 count of criminal trespass, family violence, 1 count of hindering an emergency telephone call, a 2nd count of hindering an emergency telephone call, cruelty to children in the first, which is a felony, misdemeanor battery family violence, and misdemeanor simple battery family violence. And then lastly, you were charged with 1 count of terroristic threats, which I have dismissed. Okay.
Yes, sir. You kind of break about here. Yes, sir.
So I was telling you I dismissed that count of terroristic threats against you. Okay.
I heard everything you said.
Okay. Now you are charged with several felonies, sir. That means that your next court date is going to be, if you not make your bond, December 2nd at 8:30 a.m. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Now to talk about your bond here for the individual charges. First of all, beginning with the felony criminal damage, your bond is $3,000. For the trespass, your bond is $1,500. For the 2 counts of hindering an emergency telephone call, your bond for each is $3,500. The cruelty to children in first degree, your bond is $3,500. For the family violence, $3,500. And for the simple battery family violence, $2,500. So your total bond is $21,000. Do you understand that?
Yes.
You do have special conditions, sir, and that they are to stay away from Page and Nyrona Wilkins, as well as the address of 1415 Iron Gate. I believe that this was a place that you were living prior to, sir. So one of 3 things has got to happen. Either 1, your bond gets modified. 2, your case is closed. Or 3, the only other time you're allowed back at that residence is if you make bond and the sheriff's office accompanies you there within 10 days of your release. Do you understand that?
That's understood. Yes, sir.
Sir?
And, okay. You said my next court date, December 2nd, correct, young?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay.
All right,
Hey,
good
thank
luck
you.
to you.
Yes,
Mhm.
sir.
I believe next should be Mr. Spence. I got Spence and Wade remaining. All right, are you Mr. Spence? What's your name, sir?
Wade.
Okay, you're Wade. Okay, because Spence is a fugitive as well. Okay. All right, so Mr. Wade, you're charged with 1 count of misdemeanor obstruction, 1 count of felony possession of a scheduled controlled substance. Those are felonies, sir, which means your next court date, should you not make your bond, is going to be December 2nd at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 2nd, and that's 8:30 a.m., and that's via Zoom. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, as to your bond amount, the obstruction is a misdemeanor and carries a bond amount of $2,500. The bond amount on the felony drugs is a bond of $3,500 for a total bond of $6,000. Do you understand that, sir?
Yeah.
Did you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Then that is all I have for you, unless you have any questions for me about anything.
No, sir.
All right, so then that's all I've got for you, sir. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Mhm. All right, Deputy. So other than the fugitive from justice, that should be all the ones off dot. And we should be, on dot. So we should be off dot. And first up, I've got Mr. Abdullah, if that's what you got. Should be Abdullah and then Barlow and Brightman off jots. Abdullah, Brightman, excuse me, Abdullah, Barlow, and Brightman. Are you Mr. Abdullah?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Abdullah, you were charged with 1 count of theft by receiving, 1 count of concealing an ID of a motor vehicle. The theft by receipt is a felony. The concealing of an ID is a misdemeanor. Because you are charged with a felony, sir, if you don't make the bond that we are going to go over, your next court date is going to be December 2nd at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom, okay? Again, that's December 2nd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Now, your bond amount, sir, for the theft by receipt is $3,500. For the concealing ID is $500. So your total bond is $4,000. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
All right, sir. That's all I have for you, sir. Do you have any questions of me about anything?
Yes. If I bring the title and stuff and show them, could I do that?
So, nope. What you're doing is what I said earlier. You can't get into the weeds with me. I can't talk to you about the facts of it, because I don't want you to say something that's gonna hurt your case. So talk to your lawyer when he comes about that. Okay.
No problem.
All right. Next up should be Mr. Barlow. Right, Mr. Barlow, you were charged with 1 count of misdemeanor obstruction of an officer, sir. That is a misdemeanor, so it carries a bond of $2,500. Do you understand that, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Now, sir, that is a misdemeanor, which means you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that preliminary hearing. Would you like to have it or waive it?
Have it.
All right, sir. So your next court date, if you don't make your bond, is going to be December 3rd, and that's going to be at 8:30 a.m., and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 3rd, 8:30 a.m., and via Zoom. Now, the last thing I have for you, sir, is I've reviewed the information that you provided to us here this morning, and based on that, you do not qualify for a court-appointed attorney. And so if you would like an attorney on your case, you will have to get your own, okay? Did you hear that, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's all I've got for you, sir. Do you have any questions for me?
No,
All right, good luck to you.
thank you.
Should be Mr. Brightman and then Mr. Duncan. All right, are you Mr. Brightman?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Brightman, you are charged with 1 count of felony drugs and 1 count of possession of marijuana over an ounce. They each carry a bond amount of $10,000, sir. So your total bond is $20,000. Do you understand?
Can you say it again, sir? I couldn't hear you.
Your bond for each of those charges, they are felonies. So your bond amount is $20,000, $10,000 for each. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, these are felonies, sir. And so your next court date, should you not make your bond, is going to be December 2nd at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Again, that's December 2nd at 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Do you understand that?
You said December 2nd?
Yes, sir. December 2nd, 8:30 a.m. via Zoom. Okay?
Yes, sir. And can you tell me what's 15% or 12% of that?
It's gonna be about 3,500 that you would need
Okay.
to use to bond out.
Okay.
And then lastly, sir, based on the information that you provided to me this morning, I have gone ahead and appointed you a court-appointed lawyer. And so you will have a lawyer free of charge to assist you on your case, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, any other questions I can answer for you, sir?
See, thank you, sir.
All right, good luck to you.
Ronald Duncan Jr.
All right, good morning, Mr. Duncan.
Good morning.
Well, Mr. Duncan, I'm showing here that you were charged with as a misdemeanor, 1 count of peeping Tom, sir. That is a misdemeanor. And so based on that, sir, you have a right to a preliminary hearing, or you can waive that right. Which would you like to do? Have it or waive it, sir?
Have it.
All right, so based on that, sir, if you don't make your bond, excuse me, your next court date is going to be December 3rd at 8:30 a.m. and that's going to be via Zoom. Again, that's December 3rd, 8:30 a.m. and via Zoom. And again, sir, that is only if you don't make your bond. If you make your bond, that day is waived, and then the next court date, you'll just simply get it in the mail, okay?
Gotcha.
Now, your bond amount, sir, is $1,500, okay?
12% of that be?
I'm sorry?
What would 12% of that be?
10 to 15% roughly of that is going to be about $2,000. And then lastly, Mr. Duncan, you do have a special condition, sir, and that is to stay away from the alleged victim, Ms. Trin, Trinh, okay?
Got you.
All right, sir, that's all I've got for you, unless you have any questions for me.
No, sir.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Deputy, all I'm showing are the remaining individuals who are fugitives from justice, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And how many do you have?
4.
How many?
4, Your Honor.
I think I'm missing one. Can you give me the names?
Bro, John Garcia. You did Garcia already.
Yep, we did Garcia.
Oh, yeah, so you got 4 left.
We got James Spence, Your Honor.
Uh-huh.
James Spence.
Yep, I got that one.
Okay, we got Guyon Cordy.
Okay, that's okay.
We got Jackson Tavion.
Yep.
And we got Mr. Redonis Bryan.
Okay, got it. Okay, so I see what happened. They all filled out court-appointed information except for Mr. Cordy. That's why I'm on one.
Sorry about
He's the so he just needs to fill something out and sign it so that I can sign it saying, you know, he's a fugitive from justice. So if we could just give him a blank one at some point.
Yes,
and then send that over to me, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Let's see. Make sure we got everybody. Just give me one moment, Deputy. Let's see. Sender. Okay. And we think Alexander has bonded out, possibly. All right, gentlemen, if I could just have everyone up the screen.
All 4.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, and you all can spread out left to right so everyone can hear me. So, gentlemen, I'm going to speak to you all one by one here after I just tell you as a whole kind of what's going on. So each of you gentlemen are charged with being what are called fugitives from justice. What that means is that each of you either has a current arrest warrant or you've been convicted of a crime out of another state. Now, what happens is at some point or another, the state that you have that conviction or arrest from, they are alleging that you left that state without permission. And based on that, you've then been picked up by someone in Clayton County, an officer, whether it was a sheriff, the police officer, or someone else in the county or cities within Clayton. Now, for each of you, I'm going to call you up individually and I'm going to talk to you about your particular case. And I'm going to give each of you 2 options. Option one is, Judge, I want to contest not the charges, but I want to contest the manner in which they put the warrant out for me. If you say to me, Judge, I do want to contest it, they get 60 to 90 days to have a hearing. So you'd be sitting at least 60 days and possibly 90 to get your hearing. If you say to me, Judge, I don't want to contest it, I'd like to waive my right and just send me back to where the state says I should be, and then I will deal with the charges when I get there. Those are the two options each of you will have. So with that, gentlemen, the first up I want to have is going to be Mr. Jackson, be Tyvion Jackson. All right, so are you Mr. Jackson?
Sir.
All right, so let me pull it here. All right, so Mr. Jackson, as I said earlier, you do have that pending charge here. You are alleged to be a fugitive from justice based on the information that we have. So you do have that right, of course, to then determine whether or not you want me to waive that right to that hearing, or if you would like to have that hearing. What would you like to do, sir? Have the hearing or waive the hearing?
Yeah. You said if I waive it, that means I'll go down there and handle it?
Yeah, you will send you right on back to the place where alleged to have that warrant against you, and then you will resolve it there.
I'll waive it.
Okay, and so I'm going to show that you are waiving your right to that hearing, sir. And so the deputies will have some documents for you to sign, and once you sign those, you'll be good to go, okay? All right, next up, I believe, should be Mr. Cordy.
How you doing today?
All right, good morning, sir.
Morning.
And are you Mr. Cordy?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Mr. Cordy, this essentially the same thing that I just went over with the gentleman before you, Mr. Jackson. And as I said, as a whole, you have a right to that hearing. We'll give you that hearing in 60 to 90 days, or if you so choose, you can waive that hearing, and then you'll simply go back to the place where you have this warrant outstanding. Okay?
Yeah.
Which would you like to do, sir? Would you like to have your hearing here in Clayton County, or would you like to waive that hearing and be sent back?
I would like to waive it.
All right, sir. So I'm going to show that you have waived as well. So that means the deputies there are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign. And then, Mr. Cordy, you will have another document, a court-appointed sheet that I'll need you to sign as well, okay?
Okay, and what does that one do?
It's just simply saying that we've given you the option, if you wanted an attorney, to have that hearing, and that you've waived it, so I can write it down.
Okay,
Okay. Good luck to you, sir.
thank you.
All right. Next up should be Mr. Radness
Redonis.
or Radonis.
Redonis.
Are you Mr. Radonis?
Yes, sir. How you doing today, Judge?
I'm doing today. I'm good. How are you, sir?
I'm lovely, man. I still got my ears up, Judge. I can't complain.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Radonis, same question to you. You can either have that hearing or waive that hearing. Which would you like to do?
I would like to waive it. I'd like to go and take care of this stuff.
Okay. So I am going to show, sir, here this morning that you are waiving your right to that hearing. And so the deputies there will have a piece of paper for you to sign. And once you sign that piece of paper, sir, you'll be good to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. And then lastly, I have Mr. Spence.
Right, sir. Step up.
Yes, sir.
Are you Mr. Spence?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Spence, same as I've asked all the gentlemen before you, you have a right to that hearing, or you have a right to waive that hearing. Would you like to have that hearing, sir, or waive it?
Can you tell me my charges, sir?
You want to know the underlying warrant? Give me 1 second here. I'll pull it back up.
No, I don't know. Yeah, definitely.
Dun, dun, dun.
I don't even know why.
Give me 1 second, sir. It's just taking a moment for the.
You got one? Keep one.
So it is, sir. Looks like it's out of Dothan, Alabama for an outstanding charge of forgery. Did you hear that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
Misdemeanor?
It doesn't tell me.
All right, yeah, I'm gonna waive.
All right, sir. So I am going to show that you have waived your right to the hearing. And so based on that, sir, the deputies are going to have a piece of paper for you to sign. And once you sign that piece of paper, that's all I got for you this morning, okay?
All right, yes, sir.
All right, sir. Good luck to you.
Your Honor, that's your last one.
All right, sir. Thank you all so much this morning.
Thank you for your
All
time.
right. See you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Oh, Your Honor, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Has a question, has a question.
Hey, the fugitives have not been able to sign jacks.
Yeah, I'm seeing it now. I'm doing it right now. I was doing spins. Give me 2 seconds here. Let me get, it was acting odd for me too. Okay, so Spence should be able to sign.
It's
Okay.
okay.
Okay, let me get to Radonis.
Right there.
Let's see.
No.
Sign, that's all. I know.
Yeah, Radonis, it's not even letting me sign for Radonis.
It's fine. That's it.
And Cordy, Radonis and Cordy, I'm gonna have to call IT because it's not letting me sign either one of theirs.
Go ahead and get back. Go back. Yes, sir.
Spence is good to go, but Radonis and Cordy, I can't sign. And yep, Jackson, it won't let me sign either. I'll have to call IT on those three.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Good. That's it. Thank you, Your Honor.